Teaser. Okay. Uh, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. สวัสดีครับฉันชื่อโซเนียเพชรครับ and my Thailand name is Chaisa Kamalwet, and the most people in Thailand call me Pison. In Indonesia, my name is Sonia Fianza. Yeah, you can call me Sony. And today, we're gonna talk about pleasure and sex education, the need for broadening both content and measurement. We know that sex is a need for us because we have to make a generation as like, yeah, kid generation and others. And so like in our surrounding areas, we know that sex is taboos if you want to discuss about it. And yeah, before we are going to what is sex education in your perspective, I want to know with your perspective. And the second question is how is the view of our society about it? Maybe if you want to be a speak, if you want to speak about this, can you raise your hands? Anyone? I want to raise your hand, please. Ah, okay. I want to choose Miss Sunshine. Please, what about what is sex education in your perspective, and how's the view of our society about it, in your opinion?
Okay, it's me, right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for the chance given, Mr. Sunny. Okay, I couldn't remember your Thailand name. Okay, okay, probably you need to change that
Doesn't
in your
matter.
Zoom name. Okay, okay. Well, in my opinion, sex education. Yeah, the purpose of education is to prepare students to face the jungle, the real jungle, after being graduated from the school, right? So it means how they can finally equip several capabilities, informations that they will require when not only in the middle of studying inside the school, but also after graduating. And it's all related specifically about sex. Okay, so they need they need to learn something related to sex from E to Z. Okay, from the smallest thing to the widest one, from the most stable thing to the hidden one. Okay, and in regard to the perspective of our society, society today was like shallow and narrow at the same time because um, we live in the East type culture in which something related to sex is still how to say it's like secret, or only minor people would like to talk
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
public spaces about it, or yeah, sex education can be exposed in public but based on particular segmentation. For example, like for those who are going to learn something religious about this one, about this field, or probably something that is discussed by some doctors, in for medical purposes, that will also learn deeper about this. But in general, when it comes to students or public people, they do not really discuss about it because, yeah, some people say that it's so practical. I mean, like, you can easily learn it without someone teaching you about it. Yeah, but some people, yeah, they need some education on this so that they can make sure whatever path or step they take in regard to this topic, they will be safe and healthy. I think that's for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your opinions about what is sex education and what is perspective of the society. Yeah, I get your point that uh, I think in our surrounding areas, like in our society, they didn't agree if we want to talk about sex because it's like seem like a taboos. And yeah, in sex education also in our specific comprehension about the reproduction only that. And Mr. Ku, please speak up. Time is yours. Thank you, Mr. Sansan before. Mr. Ku, he H U
Is it
H
clear?
H U, yeah.
Yes, Sunny?
Yeah, I clearly. Clear, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Regarding to this question, I would like to
Okay, time
deliver
is
what
yours,
my
Mister.
answer is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on the experience when I stayed in the Cambodia, Greece, because I heard that the young generations must be educated because from the children they will move psychological health. I don't know how to say from the children to be teenager. So they must be educated by the teacher or the old people because we can control from the spreading with the education. What's the name? Sex education. It's less for socialization. How to apply it
Yeah.
in the environment is because they are easy to find the bad bad thing or bad content. It's like porn or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I can like yeah. We have to control the children because now it's a piece of cake. The bad content or the advertisement is almost semi. In Indonesia we call it semi. Yeah. So it's better off educating the young generation to be safe in the future. This is my point
Okay.
about sex education.
Hello, Mr. Ku. Okay, I think he's
Uh,
sick now. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Ku say about the
yeah.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Okay. Sex education is uh, what is different with we want to watch the porn or it's seen or not. And yeah, sex education is uh, how's different about the yeah subject of education in general measure in our schools like primary schools or senior high schools, junior high school. So you are a good perspective too, and we gonna change our speaker is Mr. Eka Dharmayuda. Please speak up and time is yours.
Okay, thank
Hello,
you, Mr.
Mr.
Tony. What is sex education in your perspective? I think sex education is how do you say it, like subject to us, to the people or the students to explore more about the value or understand a lot about sex. It can be how they manage their own sexuality, or it can be something, etc., etc. And then maybe in sex education also we can teach the students or people about uh, the good things and bad things happen when you choose to be something in sexual perspective, something like that. And the second question is about the view of our society about sex education. I think teach the children to have sex, but actually it's different. And so that's why a lot of people, young people, actually they are figuring out by themselves about sex, and it it makes the sexuality. For example, in when you have sex, for example, you have to use condom because you have to prevent uh, uh, bocor what in English bocor something like that. So I think our society, the view of our society, or older people teach the younger to how to do sex. Thank you, Mr. Younger to how to do sex. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Sony.
Yuda. You can explain more about this PowerPoint actually. Yeah, it's a true. Sex education is learn about how to manage our own sexuality and how to manage our manner about our sexualities. And yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Eka. And in our society also, it's seem like it's different perspective with us. Yes, it's same like in South Africa, or the most people in South Africa also different perspective about the sex education. Yeah, sex education is cannot taught is can taught in our primary schools like this, in a primary school or in junior high schools. And yeah, and the next speakers, how are you?
Almost fine. Oh my God,
Yes, I hope to.
I can hear me.
Yeah, I think you are over the moon, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. About sex is about our future, the national future. Because without sex, we cannot get the new generation in our nation. Um, in my perspective, talking about sex education must be included in it about the disease of the sex. So by learn about it, we will know about the anatomy of our sexual body, or maybe the other parts of our biological manner of the others. So this education is quite important for the enhancement of our nation. And then, how about the view of our society? Yes, maybe, maybe we have a huge fear to learn about it. Seems like when we see about the organ of uh, our organ, or maybe the other sex organ, maybe they will feel ashamed, or they will fear about seeing it, seeing it. I mean, they fear, they feel ashamed to learn it. So it will be a little bit problem for this education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Fatullah. Yeah, I agree with you too because the sex educations is have three parts. You know that three types of material. Firstly we have to know about the reproduction, health, reproduction apparatus, right? That and the second is about the health diseases, and the third is about the relation men and women. And now we want to change our mindset about it. What is sex education? Yes, sex education is high quality teachings and learning about a broad variety of topics related to sex and sexuality, exploring values and beliefs about these topics, and gaining the skills that are needed to navigate relationships and manage one's own sexual health. Sex education may take place in schools, in community settings, or online. Yeah, I told you before that sex education has three types of materials. The first is about sexual, sexual, sorry, sexuality apparatus, and the second is about sexual diseases, and the third is about relation between men and women. And yeah, it seems like correlation into such materials. You know that we have a reading signal is important between the seeds as on the rows. Some yeah, I know that in the we when we have a child, yes, when we have a young generation, when we got married, yeah, I when we get married, yeah, we have to launch our child like this in like in how to say lampu merah, right? You know, in lalu lintas, right? We saw that we have a green, we have a amber, we have a red. Yeah, red is imagine that we didn't we have to don't touch our bodies, our separate our body like our reproductions. Amber is some like yes middle, but you can touch, but it's still weird if we touch their uh, if we touch their separate our body like armpit. It's I don't know as the people like touch our armpit is I think it's weird and awkward as awkward too. And the green I think is a part of our body is yeah can touch like feet like face or like nose it can touch different with the red signals. And what is connecting like Indonesia and sex education? Sri Wiyanti mentioned as a lecturer and director of the Law and the Gender Society or LGS in University of Gajah Mada, acknowledged that the fight for a formal curriculum continues to be an uphill battle. I agree with this statement because that we don't have a pure curriculum to comprehend about the pure sex education materials. We don't have, we don't know, and we don't saw that in our schools. Yeah, in senior high school and junior high school, even though in our primary high schools. Yeah, it's still a taboo if we want to comprehend more. It's about sex education and policymakers like yeah Ministry of Education hesitate to take a film's change. They're still easily influenced by certain groups who only view sex education as a moral issue and not as a solution to our social violence epidemic. And I agree with this statement too because yeah, when we learn about the sex education, we know that like yes, I'm so sorry if we have a woman here like how to say benjolan if we have in women have a benjola in their faces, but almost the women don't know about the solution, how to get the solution when they have diseases in the vagina. Yeah, because that we have to know more about the sexual education. I mean, like a formal sex education in Indonesia face a sexual violence crisis. More than 30% of women have experienced sexual abuse in Indonesia. And yeah, although conservative estimate considering 90% of cases go unreported. Oh my God. I don't know what's the future our Indonesian if we still like this. And because that, what do you think in developing and developed countries have a different mindset about it? When the first I mentioned you about the in Africa, seems like Indonesia, when we gonna talk about sex education, it's still taboo and it's still like awkward or yeah, it's worsening. And the second question is about why do so many people this is a taboo issue to discuss. And if you want to speak as the find the solution about this topic, please speak up. Okay, I'm Fatullah Alfian. Mr. Time is yours.
I think
Yeah.
um
I get that.
maybe people need to know and feel it, so that when they can feel it, they will rethink about their ethical issue that they think it's taboo. That
Mm.
is my opinion, because I will not see about which ones is the developing countries or the others give a huge fuck about that. But in my perspective, it will back to their experience to feel it. So when they know, maybe it seems like one of their relatives get a cancer maybe in their breast, and they don't know when they are a child, and they just know it when the child is not child again. I mean, the child is mature and has husband maybe, and they just know that it was happened a few years ago, and oh my god, so maybe it will give a huge impact to that woman, and maybe it will give a new perspective to that family about the sex education. So talking about it will be not taboo again because they have feel it. So I think many people need to feel it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad. Yeah, when we gonna learn about when we have a diseases in our sexual apparatus, yeah, it's not taboo again. But firstly, we have to know more about the sexual education before we got diseases. Yeah, um, I want to Afifah Rindila, please tell me sure what is perspective about this question, about this motion, I think. Miss Lina. Hello, Miss Lina. Yeah, you are connecting audio. Miss Lina, can you hear me? Okay, we're gonna change to Kota Baru. What is? Okay, we have two speakers. What as a white? Okay, wait. Hello, Miss Lina. Okay, we're gonna change to Mr. Sunshine. So Sunshine, time is yours. I think you have a lot
Okay,
of
well.
information about this. I know that.
Okay, so let me try to invite you to compare the idea perceived by people living in developed and developing countries. Significantly, I can say that those living in developing countries tend to have close-minded. I don't say all of them, but all in all, I can say that majority people still having less accessibility toward quality education, and this inequal standard given or established in the level of education also decrease the possibility to think more widely. And that's why having this kinds of narrow mindset made people see something more in negative light. And that's why they see something that is actually so important. Because I believe that having quality sex is also important. But less people talk about it because they have been overwhelmed by negative thoughts. Okay, because when someone start talking about sex, they will be deemed or perceived by other as someone nasty, as someone who have dirty thoughts, as someone who have nasty mind, as someone bad. And that's why more and more people are induced to talk about this in more fair way. And comparatively, in terms of developed countries, they have been teaching something like this in gradual step, and that's why they have they in terms of education they also more having more perspective and accepting the differences. And not only that, talking about sex is more familiar in Western or developed countries because it is also related to their culture, okay, their lifestyle, because they can, you know, I've been, I heard, I'm not really sure, but I heard that when you like 13 years old, you start kissing and then or hugging. And 15 years old, you start dating. 17 years old, you may do some intercourses or like petting or like soft, something like that. I'm not, I'm not that really seriously, particularly understand about this kinds of thing. But yeah, I mean, we have a significant different way of life, and that's why this kind of thing less stable in their perspective. I think that's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunshine. You give me some comprehension, compare about the developing countries and developed countries. Yeah, you mentioned about the developed countries is have a good perspective or have good mindset better than when the people in the developing countries and cultures. Yeah, I think the developed countries just have a good cultures like yeah, usually when we got skis and when we got our yeah some other I think probably sex in the teenagers on others and yeah them the moms or the parents uh, not didn't didn't have a taboo mindset when we talk when we talked about the sex education and better when in developing countries like Indonesia also we gonna have cultures. It's been like East cultures, or we have moral also, or we have religions. Yeah, we have in Islam religion. I think we have rules about the yeah about the splendor or the attitude or as a morals is because that we don't want to talk more about the sex education and yeah Mr. Eka, why don't you raise your hand again? Mr. Eka, time is yours. Okay, Mr. Chikoneng Ilir, time is yours.
Okay, it's for me.
Yeah, you
Or Mr. Eka firstly.
must think Mr. Eka is out from our discussion.
Okay. Thanks for this occasion. Yeah. First of all, I would like to say because I think it's not depend on developing or develop, but regarding the system utilized by the countries. For example, there are kind of system like scholarism. So it's what's that? Consists of developed country, and they tend to be do whatever you want, because you have liberty and also you have a human right to do it. In contrast, there is the country also utilized not as same as the scholarism, but they still have like the religion to insist in the culture, policy, and everything because of what is the socio-cultural perhaps. And for example, like India, Indonesia, if you look at the data, so the rape cases is huge. Uh, but I sometimes discuss with my friend that have a thought with the Eastern. They said we had the huge rape case because we forbid it. When we don't forbid it, so perhaps the case of rape or rape cases will be low than before because as they want to do it, so it's legal for doing that. And the other term, I think it's not only about the mindset of the citizens, but there are people, especially for the men, or we can say that the official government or the rich people, they had the money. And also they will protect their interests, for example, like this thing. For instance, like when we've got the viral, for example, like the prostitution online from the actress. So we already know about the women player or the actress, but we don't know who is the partner at the moment. I mean, the man who hired them. So it means like how we can put not only about the education, sex or sex education, but we should make a policy that not only protect the women, that not only protect the rich people or the people that have interest about this, but they protect the women like PKS, but it's not PKS party. PKS is like kekerasan seksual. I forgot about paying. But yeah, peraturan kekerasan seksual, if I'm not mistaken about that. Yeah, it still be considerable in this country, and we postpone it in prolegnas. Perhaps if we do it in the next year, and it should be the good deliberation how we can protect our women, because the pillar of the nation is the women. And then regarding to the why do so many people see this as taboo issues to discuss, yeah, I think the first of all is about the religion. As we know, Indonesia people is the huge of majority of Muslim. In the other term, we tend to protect what we thought about the dominance of the Western, especially in the sex culture. We protect it. I mean, we cannot release it, but we still have a foundation to protect it. But I don't know, is it the good thing or the bad thing? We can discuss it. And then, and the third is, I would say, the third is culture, or we can say it like adat. If you look at the requirement of the marriage, it's only there's a man, woman, and also the witness and akad. But we had another high priest like hajatan and and what's that? Bring something for your mother-in-law, father-in-law. So for the men, they should save a lot of money for that. And then the desire to do a sexual orientation, perhaps it's huge, but they should avoid it. And when it is happen, perhaps from the women father or women woman require the huge money, so they play in the background, perhaps. So it is honestly also the culture will be a problem too in our societies. I think enough for me.
Thank you, Mr. Chikoneng Iler, that you gave me some perspective. It's the same life perspective, but I cut your topic. You mentioned about the not this not ours. No, okay. What is it? We cannot see in developing or developed countries, but we have to know about the policy. Yeah, I mentioned you about the policymaker before that, and we have to make a good rules and people's want to make sex in like I don't know how to say sex liar and when people want to sex liar like and you the second one you mentioned about the hajatan or some like yes I think it's still confused when we have adat or we have the custom uh, or tradition about the when we want to marry we have to yeah we have to say hantaran how to say hantaran to get the man or woman isn't like that and yeah thank you for your perspective and Mr. Eka out and now you got here again Mr. Eka thanks your what's your perspective about this question.
Okay, sorry for leaving before because the cafe start closing.
Okay.
I just wanna maybe can you hear my voice?
Yeah, I can hear your voice. Wait.
Wait, maybe the
Yeah.
signal. Okay. Test. Hello.
You are audible. You are audible.
Okay, the question is about do you think citizens in developing and developed countries have different mindset about it? I think it's yes the answer, but I see that in developed countries when the people or the citizen is teach by religion will think about think like the citizen in developed country because the mindset about sex and sex education uh, a lot of them based on their perspective in religion, something like that. So maybe I get something interesting about the different mindset in developing and developed country. For example, in Asia and Africa, when people get married, the woman actually see sex is about worship. Worship is pengabdian, right? It's about worship. It's just about worship to the husband, to religion, to the customs, and to the big families. And in developed countries, they see sex as exploration about themselves, how they how they meet with their partner soul, something like that, and then how they wants to get and experience orgasm, something like that. And I think based on uh, based on that difference, we can see that sex and sex education will be different when we want to implement it in several areas. And why do so many people see this as a taboo issue to discuss? I think all of my friends before said that because of the how to say it, customs, or because of we are we are how to say religious country, something I saw. It means that really sex is not allowed to talk before people in marry something like that. But actually maybe because of another problem is about stigma. When you wants to have a story, or you want to talk about sex, you will get a stigma as a bad person, something like that. So I think it's a really a problem. Sex in developing countries for women is for worship, for pengabdian. And I think when women wants to ask about, can we find something else about sex, and etc., they don't know how to get the answer, because there's never a sex education in Indonesia, for sure, something like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eka, for your perspective. Yeah, you get a point about the sex education in developing and developed countries. So, like in Asia or Africa, you're gonna have the woman have to work shifts for the man's, because yeah, we have to, yeah, they want to make a young generations. And the second question about the stigma, or they have a tradition, our tradition in Indonesia especially. Yeah, we saw that as like still taboo, because we have a religions, or we have a religion nations or Islamic nation, and it's still taboo for us. Is I think it's the solution. I think it's the solve our question tonight. And yeah, this is about the data. Yeah, you can see the data that they whistle about early childbearing. We, okay, yeah, this data you can find in goodsmarshall.org. Yeah, it's the total nearly 500,000 were to 14 years olds. Yeah, in developing countries had 777,000 birds. You can find that the Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and in the 14s, we know that Africa is still have high values, still have results, still have yeah uh, amounts of the keys about these childbearings. And in the 12 or 13s, I think that Africa still has to dominantly. When we gonna change in the reason for unmarried in developing countries, married with woman's reason for not using contraception, despite wanting to avoid pregnancy, predominantly fall into four categories. The first is we don't know to unaware of method, how to use the like implant, how to use yeah, like in Indonesia, like KB, they don't know because they don't have a sex education before. And the second one is cost too high. Yeah, because in African or in the either developing countries or undeveloping countries also, they don't know about the sex education. They don't know about the value if we or utilize if we learn about the sex education, because that yeah, I think cost too high also is still have a main their main sense about this. So vacuum and infacum is like in women's have we vacuum is like tidak bisa hamil. I don't know how to say in English that it's like vacuum is biology materials, and fourth is about no source or access. Yeah, we know that when we want to marry or we want to have a baby, we know we supposed to know about the how to do it, make a baby, or when we don't want to make a baby, or yes, I think it's like the woman want to make a baby, but they don't have a not using contraception like that. The breastfeeding or postpartum amenorrhea. I don't know what this about this topic because it's about biology topics, and the opposite like yeah it's bertentangan like in Indonesia, infrequent or no sex. Yeah, I think the woman don't want to make a sex. I don't know that not almost but some woman, and last is but not least is side effect or heat race because the about the heart is like HIV or gonorrhea and others and etc. And what is the tense the extent to how taboo sex is, let alone sex education. Yeah, you can show that societal institutions are perhaps worsening matter. Schools refuse to have honest discussion about sex. Yeah, I mentioned you about that. We have in primary school, we don't talk about the sex. We don't talk about our sexual apparatus, and we usually change the names. Like you know that pisangs or Indonesia is like I'm so sorry to say this, like otongs and others, another name. We're gonna change that our name in sexual apparatus like that. Yeah, because that is make the people curious about the names, the pure name actually. And the sex education and reproduction health classes are emotionless and focus on the biological components alone. I agree about this because yeah, we have materials in biology in subs like in subject biology. Yeah, yes, in senior high school, we're gonna talk about the sexual apparatus like vagina, penis, and others, and only not only specific about discuss about the health disease or diseases our sexual apparatus because that is the is to make a taboos also, and many religious gatherings don't even make an attempt except a marriage counseling session, or religious people deliberately avoid sex talks. How about the family? While the family may seem to be at the most convenient place to discuss sex, it is probably even the worst. Like when we gonna talk about sex education, our family is still taboo because we maybe in our family um, can angry with us because we want to talk about the sex. And yes, it's still interesting. It is still a motion interesting. In what age should sex education be taught? And the second question is about, can you tell the potential benefits and the downside of the sex education? Maybe if you want to speak about this motion, because this motion is so interesting, if you want to make discuss about this motion, please raise your hand, guys. Okay, Mr. Ahmad Fatullah.
Oh yes, it's quite interesting, right? Um, maybe it's just in my perspective, just my idea. Um, it will be quite beneficial when the sex education is taught when the child has think about romance or love. Yeah, just about it. And then about the downside and the beneficial, maybe I will think it first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Okay, before we want to talk, we're gonna talk with the Mr. Cool. Maybe we want to greeting our other audience and Miss Hardianti. What do you think about this? Mr. Angga. Mr. Angga?
Oh yes, can I?
Yeah, sure. What's your perspective about this notion, Mr.?
Okay, actually, can you hear me clearly?
Sure.
Okay, I do agree with what has been mentioned by previous speakers. I think sex education is a need for society. Regarding question, I think sex education should be taught since the early age, even since the baby or since they since in the early age, I think. But the lessons of sex education is different based on their age. For example, when they're still a baby, the families as people who take care of them, they need to, for instance, only teach or educate about the name of the organs of humans. And when they become older, the lessons are the lesson will increase regarding the consequences, for example, of doing sex. I think it's better to teach in their adolescence, I think, because in this age, they um, they try to uh, they try to be keen on with their their partners, another gender or something like that. So yeah, they need to be taught about the consequences of doing sex and about what to do and what not to do in regards to this sex, I think. Therefore, as I said, sex education is pivotal to teach, to educate since the early age. But the lesson, in conclusion, is different, is varied, depending on their age, their perspectives, and so on.
Okay.
In addition, about the benefits that sex education possess in our society, in the people, especially young generation nowadays, I think they can um, they can I think hamper bad things in regards to sex. For example, when they would like to have sex with their partners, they can prepare some essential things before having sex, like a condom, for example, when um, they aren't eager to have um, pregnant, for example, and so on. About the downside, I don't know. I haven't thought about the downside of this. Probably it's regarding the assessments, the judgment of other people, especially in developing countries who deem sex education is like bad issues to discuss. Yeah, probably just from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angga, for your perspective. I catch your point that sex education is still learn in early age, and the second one, if you want to know about more how to doing sex, because we have to learn more in teenagers and others, like we we gonna talk we have we supposed to know about it hamper, or we have to prepare well when we want to do things. And the downside is only judgment people in the different countries. Yes, I catch your points. And before the Mr. Amavatullah mentioned about only people want to get married. Yeah, the different perspective, Mr. And Mr. Ku, come is your Mr.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sunny, for the second chance. Uh, I too agree what Mr. Angga
Of
said
course.
that the children must be educated early. I believe that in the teenager, because they know about the sins or no, yeah, for that they will learn. The parents can teach the children. It is since it is not, but it's better than they know because of they are curious from their friends about the sex. Yeah, about the sex. Because mostly, I say mostly, not all, mostly the youth generation are curious about the sex. What's that? Sex content or sex account. It's like this is the name of address that you want to search. They will search secretly, and because no one knows when they do the thing, they will they will do silently. It's like they will rent the hotel. But I know they will rent it's like they will save their money from their friends from their parents because they go to school, they I want to pay this and please give me the money more. Essentially, they save it the money because they have boyfriend or girlfriend. They save it and they will rent the hotel. So it's better of being educated by the parents of or their teachers. That's it. What I can deliver. Can you tell me the potential or benefits? I haven't known about this, and maybe it will be delivered by Mr. Eka.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay. It's a thing like corporate. It's not sex education. What to make corporate? Okay. Before we get in the others audience like Mr. Eka and Mr. Chicken, and we want to yes, hello. Guessing against in other audience. Hello, Mr. Lutfi. Mr. Lutfi. Okay. Mr. Ridwan. Ms. Hardianti. Can you hear my voice? Okay, because doesn't want to reply my voice. Mr. Eka, please, time is yours. What you deliver about this topic?
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Sonny. I think sex education should be taught in elementary school because it's very basic things to teach them about sex education. For example, like you cannot let other people touch your vital area, or you can let strange people or something and something. I think elementary school is the good time to teach about sex education, and then it will be developed in junior high school and then senior high school, and then after that the potential benefits it's about after the senior high school they will accumulation their knowledge about sex education, and then they will choose and then be responsible for what they choose. For example, like in Japan, when you turn to 17 years old and then you have to choose to let your virginity away or lost your virginity with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you want to lose your virginity when you married, something like that. It's about responsibility after they get the proper sex education. And I don't know about the downside of sex education, because sex education will teach you about your vital area, or about your preference, or about how to get your pleasure about sex. For example, like in developing country, back to developing country again, a lot of men will talk about sex in their time with their friends, or when they go out with their best friends. So they will talk a lot about sex, how to make their girl satisfy or something. But for girl is very very hard to tell the story about sex. For example, men can know that women have in their vital area clitoris to make their orgasm, something like that. But women, actually, most of women can still don't know about that. But men can know about that, because sex education in developing country teach in hangout area, or in best friends situation, something like that. So I think the potential benefit, when it's taught in school or in family, they will know, or they will feel comfort to tell their story, or to tell their how to say Glisa about sexuality, something like that. So that's it. Thank you, Mr. Sony.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eka, for your opinion about this motion. In what age should sex education be taught, and can you tell the potential benefits and downside of sex education? I can show the points like we agree if this is supposed to learn in the elementary schools, and yeah, after elementary school, supposed to learn again in the senior high school or junior high school, but it's different material. But maybe in the elementary school, we gonna talk about the sexual apparatus, only sexual apparatus done like in Indonesia. I mentioned about this in Indonesia. We had to change their names. Sexual apparatus like yeah pisang, Hongkong, and others. It's like not similar in our brains. It's because that the it's make a curious the people like this. Okay, and the second one you talk about only benefits if you want to learn about the sexual education, especially in our young generations. In senior high schools, maybe yeah, I got the point. We have, the woman had a virginity when in the Japan's had the woman of Japan's loss of the virginity is caused about the responsible when they want to give the virginity in their man or in their husband like that. And yeah, I think you got the something, Mr. Eka, that how to dance downside of the sex education. You know that's uh how to say the porn. Yeah, it stimulates to watch the porn if you want to learn about sex education. I think that. How about is it stimulate or not if we learn about the sex education? I think it's make the people so curious about something sex education, how to relation between man and woman, how to accumulate the sperm or in the east, how to do it, and then others is make it curious about that because that still stimulates it's make it stimulus to watch the porn, and then we gonna change our speakers. Mr. Chikon and there. Promise you. Thank you for Mr. Eka before.
Okay. Yeah. Perhaps I got a similar idea for the ages. In the other way, several speakers say it should be in the teenager. I think it should be for the child because we live in different ages, and we can call it as the globalization. Social media is among us. So perhaps you will find your notification about the actors or whatever is it, and also about the Marvel or Avenger skin. There is the kiss skin that the child will look at the image or at that picture. So it means it's not only for teenager, but also for the child should know what is the cause and effect after they do it. Albeit it will not um, end the curiosity of the child to do it, but perhaps it will reduce the harming. For example, like the concept like this, when we give what we should avoid, like stick and carrot, I mean the punishment and reward, like hell and paradise. Albeit we don't know what is the hell exactly, and we don't feel it or suffer it before, but we believe there is the hell. So we tend to avoid the harming in our life. So it will be a benefit to reduce, not to the end of that thing. And about the benefits and downside, perhaps the benefit have been mentioned from the several speaker before, but I would say that many people believe perhaps one of religion is prohibit the sex education. I won't say that. I mean, I won't say what is the name of religion, but there are also the priest or cleric. They agree with that thing. For example, like Quraish Shihab. Quraish Shihab is the one of the cleric that agrees should education should be maintained for the child because we live in different life like social media and globalization exists today. And for the downside, I think there are a lot of downside. The first is what is the standard from the sex education. I mean, what is the curricula exactly? And how the curricula can involve the entire thing about the sex education that is proper for every single school, like elementary, senior, and also perhaps junior high school, because we don't know exactly what is the sex education in curricula. And when we talk about the curricula, perhaps it will be Brazil. Oh, what to say? Brazil. It will be success in the developed one, for example, like America, because they had a lot different culture. But when we implement it in Indonesia, so it will be adhere for our societies or not. The question mark is that. And then the second is the environment should support the sex education. For example, like the bills that protect the woman should be involved because it will be useless when they had a thought to avoid that, but they don't have a bill to protect themselves. There are a lot of cases for them. And then regard not only environment, like I said before, when there is the high dowry is means mahar perhaps. So it will enhance the rape cases. Kalau mahar semakin tinggi ya pemerkosaan makin merajalela. Yes, there is the environment that we should build to success the sex education, because when we talk about the developed one, uh, they also said, I find it in Jubilee that pastor with the sex worker discuss about sexting, and they said we can learn from the poem. So, uh, in that term, the developed one also don't know what is exactly sex education in terms of they can implement, they can learn from the poem perhaps, they can learn from the book also, they can learn from the lecture, especially for biology. Uh, so it depends on the culture and also the citizens that involved in this thing. And the last thing, perhaps um, it will be difficult, but it's not impossible to be better than before. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chikuneng, for your perspective. Yeah, I mentioned you about the we don't have a pure curriculums about the sex education. Uh, yeah, this is specific for biology major or biology subject, or is a subject of biology like reproduction. It's only that, not like yeah. We just reach a bit. We did complain about how to do this, but how to do it and how to make a relation with man and woman, how uh, or about the separate our bodies or like vitals is different areas is not learned in our schools. And yeah, you mentioned about it. We have to when we compare about in USA have a curricula about this sex education. When we came doing like this in Indonesia, perhaps perhaps this about contradicted with our society because our society have much cultures have have a cultures is our cultures and so many cultures in Indonesia have so different also and when we relation about custom like especially in Buddhist customs. I'm so sorry, I want to mention this custom because it's high dowry in Indonesia. It goes to the people's uh, high high sexual abuse victims. Yeah, and this different paradigm in our paradigm in our society. This talks about the high sexual violence. Uh, okay, thank you for your perspective, Mr. Chikoneng, and this is my perspective about this question. There are certain things parents should put in mind when talking to their children about reproductive health, starting with the right age to have the conversation. In early, maybe in one until two age, we supposed to learn our child about the sex, like this is separate our body, don't touch this, like fetal areas and others. And I mentioned before that we have to, how to say, lampu lalu lintas that we have red, we have a green, we have another and we have red, greens, and yellow colors. This make the our child know about oh this my body is not it didn't touch for the other people's like that, and we supposed to learn our child to save their body because when the other people want to touch their body, I think he's want to scream or others, and he says parents should begin sexual education as early as possible. He explained that 2 or 3 years is ideal because the when two to three is the the child know about the sexual apparatus, but in Indonesia we only know about the changed name our sexual apparatus. He explained that 2 3 years ideal, given that is the each children embrace new environments, and because that they don't embrace or sigh about the sexual apparatus, whether it is school or elsewhere. Parents should start with the basics and teach them the names of all body parts and what is appropriate or not, and this should continue as they grow up. They grow up, and yeah, this is an advantage of sex education. First is increase our knowledge. So because when we gonna learn about something, we have increased our knowledge about what the uh, what the step or diseases in our sexual reproduction, like HIV, gonorrhea, and others. And the second one is normalization of sexual and reproductive issues. And the third is self-efficacy. Now, this is advantage of our sex education. I mentioned Mr. Eka, so that yeah, motive for initiating sexual behavior like watching porn and tainted modesty. And the motions, the next motion is this, addicted to porn. I think it's so interesting for us. First is, what do you think it happened since someone um, didn't get a proper education about sex? And will someone be more into porn even after getting sex education? Why that is occur? Okay, anyone wants to speak up? Okay, Mr. Eka, what do you think about this?
Why me? Okay, I'll try. Addicted to porn. Do you think it happens since someone did not get a proper education about sex? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's not a valid answer to say it's yes, to say it's no, because addicted to porn, it's it's happened because of a lot. We have a lot of variable to discuss about it. But I think when you get proper education about sex, you will understand that porn can it's how to say it, like have a bad effect to your brain or something. I think when you get proper education about sex, you will understand about the bad things will happen to when you watch porn. And when you get proper education about sex too, you will understand that the industry behind the industry of porn is also, it's not a good it's not a good, how to say it, good situation to us to make porn as things to make us to find a pleasure or something like that. But I think I don't know the answer. Is it yes or is it no? But maybe we said about developing country, when it comes to developing country, porn is a good subject to us to understand more about sexual activity, how to say it, like how to do foreplay, and then how to maintain the duration when you have sex, something like that. And I think porn in developing country is a important subject the people will learn from. And the second, will someone be more into porn even after getting sex education? I still don't know the answer, because in my situation, for example, I when I know about the behind about porn industry, already stopped to watch porn because it's how to say it, it's injustice for for the actor or the actress in porn industry. But sometimes when you feel lonely or you have to do your quarantine, porn is the best, how to say, hiburan, best entertainment to fill your spare time, for example. But the good way in porns, actually they will let you get to know more about sexual pleasure. But the bad things is you will find a lot of category that will harm your partner or harm your neighbor or something like that. So I think that's my opinion. Sorry.
Thank you. I think that's crazy opinion about it for you, yeah. From you. Okay, sorry. Anything is happened since someone didn't get a proper education about sex. Okay, it's so interesting, right? And will someone be more into porn even after getting sex education? What that is, of course. I got your points, and yeah, agree with you. Do you have a good perspective about this? Sorry. The first question, yeah, I think you has a middle. You yes or no, yes or no. Yeah, something like we have. Well, sometimes we want to know about more. We have to watch. We have to watch in porn, but I, I don't know what is how to say papata in English, like sesuatu yang berlebihan itu tidak baik. Same like when we watch the porns, something if we have a married, it doesn't matter. But if we want to addict it, but I don't know about this so seriously. Okay, we have our last speakers, maybe Mr. Chicken earlier. I think this is so sensitive
Okay.
topic. Anyone
Yeah.
doesn't want to speak. Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Chikoning, let me see yours.
Okay. The first
You
question.
are my hero, I think.
Do you think it's happened since someone didn't get the proper education? I think not depend on the proper education or not, but depend did since you open and watch it. I think that is the problems. Do you think it's happened since you open and watch it? Because yeah, I think for Indonesia, it's easy to access. For example, there is the one actress and they have a video and the actress had trending on the YouTube. So for this example, there are a lot of citizens watch his or her video regarding it. So it means our border to prohibit this access is not limited. So that's the one problem. And the second is, will someone be more into porn when after getting the X? I think it's not will no guarantee for that, because education is only education, but the way that we can implement it in our daily social life is the important thing. Then only get it. For example, the simple thing, like what it happens surrounding us. For example, like what we call it, like cigarette. There are a lot of people now, what is the advantage or pros and cons, but they tend to deny it. Oh, it's okay, I only know. Yeah, so cigarette is the simple thing that exists in our daily social life. And also, what is the effect for the people surrounding you? For example, like a female, when you what's that, switch off your gas fire, and also there is a female surrounding you, and they will move to the another seat. So it will not guarantee, but perhaps it will reduce. It depends on how we can implement it in our daily social life. So that's why for the first question, perhaps for a Muslim, they had a theory like Gordul Basor, like subdue your face. It means not only when you meet a female in the daily social life, and you should put off your head and look on the ground. But also it's about the link that to profit you to watch it, and also it's about the information that you get it, and also the desire, and that it will be avoid you to open and watch and avoid it to be addicted. Thank you.
Thank
This
you,
for me.
Mr. Chekonen. Yeah, you always mention about we don't have a guarantee. It's so interesting, I think. Yeah, when we watch something porns, I ever read in article like in we have only one brain. Yeah, this have separate our brains is still broken where we was born, but it's how to say berlebihan. Lagi-lagi more is berlebihan. And yeah, I catch your points. And the last is Mr. Angga because Mr. Angga raised their hands. That is you, Mr. Angga. Thank you, Mr. Chicken Angga before.
Yes, yes. I wanna say my ideas about these questions. In my viewpoint, there are a plethora of things why people are keen on watching porns. Um, there are several factors like from the advertisement impulse and from they wanna look for some pleasurement and even about curiosity. In my viewpoint, sex education I think can decrease the the inducement of people watching porn because of their curiosity. Because as far as I'm concerned, especially young generation, when they are in the puberty age, right? Their curiosity is increasing, as far as I know. So they look for other things or other information from various ways. When it comes to the sex, when they um, when they aren't taught about sex in their school or in their environment from their family, for example, they will find it in the or from the internet, because I think internet is easy and it provides a lot of information and also affordable for adolescents, right? So they find about sex via or through porn industries. Therefore, I think their curiosity has been satisfied or content by these porn industries. Um, Therefore, as I said, teaching sex education in the early age at least reduce the cost of watching or having or even enjoying porn due to their curiosity, because they have achieved, they have got this information from sex education taught in their school or from their families. At least it can reduce the impact from the curiosity. In addition, in regards to the following question here, I suppose, yeah, it depends on several factors, right? As I said, um, porn, industry, porn industries, I think, grow not only about the curiosity of the people, but it's about the pleasurement and more importantly about the um, advertisement impulse to the people. As you can see that there are a lot of beautiful girls that that have been advertised by these industries in order to trigger people to watch it, and some other useful factors to watch or to attract people attentions to watch this porn. But at least I think it can, as I said, reduce the factors made by the curiosity. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sony. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Angga, for your perspective. You mentioned about several factors, yeah, the placements, the curiosity, and other factor when the people were to addicted to porn. And you also mentioned about decrease to addicted porns is sexual education. Thank you. Yeah, when we watch porns, it's make our brains is have pleasure hormones. Is several people's like our masturbation as others the yeah they supposed to watch porn to grew up the pleasure hormones. Thank you before and before we have going later to another PowerPoint or another slide. Mr. Ridwan, time is yours, please. Mr. Ridwan, can you hear me? What do you perspective, Mr. Ridwan? Mr. Ridwan or Mr. Dwi April? Mr. Onas. I don't know. Okay, anyone doesn't want have a point. Okay, this is area of few points has sex education, if it has, and been giving in our. Can you explain more? Current curriculum, how has it been delivered? Is has answered before, and now we have to let's watch this video about the sex education. Maybe it first is body basics, and actually does have three videos, but when we finish the three videos as soon as possible, it's made our sleepy because that only one videos. Okay, only one videos. Yes, sex education for middle schools body basics. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, let's watch this. This image of Spain and age. There's half of three videos. The first video is about body basics or sexual apparatus, and the second video is about puberty, and the third video is about sexual.
Today, we are going to talk about puberty. Puberty is a funny sounding word, but all it means is when you change from a kid's body to an adult's body. Growing hair in places where you didn't have it before. Voice changing. Parts of your body growing bigger.
Oh boy.
Pimples. Having stinky armpits. Ew, what's that smell? That's all part of puberty, and it's normal. It's all caused from adult hormones being made in your body. Today, we are going to talk about some of the changes that happen during puberty. so that you know what to expect and can help answer any questions you may already have. Let's start off with changes that both males and females get. First is growing taller. The biggest growth spurt of your life after you're a baby is during puberty. In middle school, you might notice that some people are way taller than others, and maybe you are self-conscious if you are short or tall. Puberty doesn't happen at the same time for everyone. So people that go through puberty first, grow first, and people that go through puberty later, grow later. I mean, not everyone is going to be 6'8" LeBron James height, but don't worry, you'll grow. Next is hair. Hair, hair, everywhere. During puberty, you start growing hair in places where you didn't have any before.
Oh no.
Boys hair under their armpits, down there around their genitals, which is the outside parts of the reproductive system, and generally tend to get hairier legs and arms. Some boys also might start to get chest hair and facial hair, and some girls might get a little facial hair too. People come from all different countries and are all different colors. People from some countries and ethnic backgrounds tend to have more or less body hair than others. So if you feel you are too hairy or not hairy enough, there's a wide range that is considered normal. During puberty, you'll also notice voice changes.
And let the voice drop.
Girls and boys get lower voices in puberty, but it is more noticeable in boys. Before your voice changes completely, you might notice it cracks.
No, it doesn't!
It can be embarrassing, but it's normal and becomes much less common after puberty. Next is body odor.
Ew, what's that smell?
Okay, let's have separate videos, and if you want to know more about this video, maybe you can check this YouTube. And yeah, we have to next our discussions. Okay. Okay. This is about curricula. They're mentioning about Mr. Who before? I'm sorry. They mentioned by Mr. Chikoneng earlier about the curricula. This is a curricula from the USA. The first is relationship. The second is value rights, culture, and sexuality. The third is understanding gender. Four is violence and staying safe. Five is skills for health and well-being. Six is the human body and development. Seven is sexuality and sexual behavior. And last is sexual and reproductive health. Otherwise, is it urgent to put it integrate into our curriculums? Why? If we have a curriculum, it's only like we have daydreams where we have a curriculum like that. Okay, if you want to speak about this, please raise your hand, guys. Mr. Ridwan, can you hear me? Okay. It has been mentioned by Mr. Sikone earlier. I want to please you to speak this topic. Please, time is yours.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for Miss Mr. Sony and Mr. Eka. Okay, yeah, it's urgent to put it integrated into our curriculum. Yeah, absolutely. Because but why? Because I think the integrated curriculum, that is the best thing that our education needs. For example, like for us, uh, okay, perhaps it will be sex education will be subsector, but for the central sector, I mean, overall education, we still don't find it. What is the proper curricula in our education? For example, every single minister, they had a different curricula. Perhaps in the past we have a KTSP and then curriculum 13, and then today we still find it by POP, program organisasi penggerak, to find what is the proper curricula for our education, because it will be hard to unity every single region that had a different culture. So it will be a big homework for us, or perhaps not only from the government, but also the organization that involved in education sector, and then the influencer too, especially for the education sector, because when we have a proper curricula, so perhaps our education will be better, and there is not whereas rich people and the poor people, there is not one privilege, I mean there is no the privileged one and then don't have the privileged one. The simple thing that is really exists today is seems like UTBK for current situation. Perhaps in the senior high school, we don't have the exercise to do it. But when we are graduated from the senior high school, we should answer it. So the people who had a lot of money will get a privilege to take the additional course at the outset of the formal education. But if the curricula can explore the formal education, not only in the important thing like what they need in the future, but also what they need to face the world. Yeah, it's for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chikuneng. And guys, I'm so sorry because we have our times, and I want to assume is based on my experience. Is it urgent to put it integrated in our curriculums? Why? Yeah, we have to integrate this topic for our curriculum, but it's pure. We don't have a curriculum specifically for comprehend our sex educations, and we only know about in sex education. We only know about sexual apparatus in biological major or biological materials, and last but not least is teaching sex education a duty or responsibility of parents. Yes, it's a duty of parents because in we have in a formal education in our family. It's because that when my mother had to taught us sex education in 1, 2 until 3 years. uh, the last is, how do you sum up this motion today or this topic today about pleasure and sex education, broadenings and measurements? I choose the one from you, my B, or perhaps Mr. Eka, please time is your. Please
Me
sum up
again?
this. Yeah, sum up this
Okay.
discussion.
I think it starts from family, just like you said. It's important that you receive sex education from your family because they parents actually the first one that we know that have their experience, right? And then after that maybe you can choose or you can have a good friends to discuss about about sex, something like that. And then how do you sum up this discussion? I think in social media era, we can use a lot of media social to maintain the issue about sex education. When you go to Instagram, you can find a lot of influencer or key opinion leader that consistently campaign about sex education, like Sicilism or Catwomanizer, and then maybe Justika Yusuf, or and etc etc etc. I think they already start campaign a good thing about sex education. I think that's for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eka. And the last but not least, maybe we have Fear. Mr. Coop, time is your. What do you think, and how do you sum up this motion today?
Okay, how do you sum up this discussion tonight?
Mm.
Uh, Based on my opinion, that we have to educate the young generation. It means their lack of watching the sex for the bad thing, but they can take the benefit of the sex education from their parents. It means they can get the good thing, but I don't know what is the good thing from the sex education. They don't. They are not. They are not careless. They will be careful to watch because their curiosity to watch the sex content or the semi film. Just it. Thank you from their curiosity. Alright, thank you, Mr.
Thank you, guys, all of you. I appreciate for being speakers tonight, and we had gone the topic about the sex education. Really apologies if I have a mistake for you all. And yeah, I give this mix again for our host today tonight, Mr. Sunshine. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for interesting discussion and interesting leading to our moderator tonight, Mr. Sonny. There are several things that I'd like to highlight and deliver to you guys. Okay, can you please stop sharing so that I can share you the thing that related to the grammatical understanding as well as the vocabularies. Okay, so here it is. I hope that all of you can see this. Okay, so guys, there are several things. The first is bocor. Bocor in English means leak. Yeah, so there are several videos leak, scandal videos. It means leak. Ya, bocor. Kemudian lampu merah, basically it's not lampu merah. Lampu lalu lintas means traffic light. And social cultural, it is wrong because the cultural should be noun, so it should be said social or societal culture. And there are also someone said when it is happened, it should be said rather when it happens or when it happened. Dan pelaku ya, sexual abuse ya, pelaku kekerasan seksual, pelaku it can be said doer or perpetrator. Adat norms, seserahan handover, infertility tidak subur atau mandul are important ya. You can say for the boys or man. Berlebihan eksesif, peribahasa proverb, menyatukan is not unity but unite people in one flag in one sentence. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. I think that is what I can deliver to you today. And for closing, let's all open the camera and we can, yeah, take picture together. Okay. Okay, Mr. Ridwan, Miss Hardianti, and there is another Sonny right here. I'm not sure. Okay, Mr. Angga. Okay. Please open the camera. Okay. Ridwan. Okay. So, okay. Okay, guys, I've been like quite tired because after visiting beach, that's why I keep saying to Mr. Sonny, "Hey, the time, please, the time. I want to get rest as long as possible." Okay, but anyway, I'd like to say thank you so much. And here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Okay, give me your best smile, different style maybe. You know. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And the last I say, hail Ota. Yesterday, say
Yesterday,
tomorrow.
say
We learn together.
tomorrow.
Okay, thank you guys. See you next discussion. Thank you, Mr. Sonic. See ya. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Sony.